If there's pressure happening, it probably means that you're doing something pretty special. If you can flip the script and view it in a different light, it instantly unlocks the ability to fight it and, continue to excel from there.
That's Katie Hoff, world champion swimmer, Olympic medalist, and best-selling author. And this is Make Yourself at Home, the podcast that takes you into the homes of people you admire to show you a side you don't usually get to see. I'm Kristen Twyford, and every week we'll talk to someone at the top of their career to explore holistic success and how work and home are inextricably intertwined. Along the way, we hope to inspire you to live well, whatever that means to you. Make Yourself at Home is presented by Nines, the household management app designed to help you manage your home and everything that comes with it, so you can live with ease. Today, we're in Katie Hoff's home in Nashville, Tennessee, where she lives with her French bulldog, Allie, and her husband and fellow athlete, Todd Anderson. Here, they're building Synergy Dryland, creating personalized training programs to help athletes reach their goals. It's a mission Katie is passionate about in every aspect of her life. She relied on rigorous process to achieve her own goals throughout her swimming career, breaking world records, winning 8 world championships, and representing Team USA in 2 Olympic Games, bringing home 3 Olympic medals from the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing. Now, after shifting her mindset towards new goals and becoming a mentor, speaker, and best-selling author, she helps other people find their own process for overcoming nerves, using pressure as fuel, and recognizing small wins on the path to success. Make Yourself at Home with Katie Hoff. Katie, thank you so much for being here. We're so happy to be here in your home. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
To start out, why don't you tell me a little bit about your home and where you live and what you love about it?
Yeah, so we actually just moved to Nashville, Tennessee from Michigan about 2 months ago. And I'm currently in our our office, podcast, content filming room, which has been really cool to actually showcase some of our accomplishments over the years. My husband and I, from the Olympics and him playing football. And so it's really neat to finally have the opportunity to pull that stuff out of storage because we've done apartment living for a really long time. And so I just love the space that we have. I love our backyard area. I'm just very inviting to host and have people over, and just love that it's a place that we want to be versus feeling like we always want to just travel and be on the go because we didn't want to be in our home. So, Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what home means to you.
Yeah, I would say home is a safe space. Home is a sanctuary, at least now it is for us, and really just a place to unwind and reset and refresh in between all of our travels and all the stuff that we have going on.
Yeah, and you mentioned, it's a place that you actually want to be and, linger after so much traveling. I think it's so interesting to talk to athletes who grew up training and moving around and always being on the go. And especially when you started training at such a young age, you didn't necessarily choose that lifestyle. What do you think is making you choose this lifestyle now of, we really want to have a home base that feels like our place, that is really, the place that you want to be and stay for a long time?
Well, I think it's because we have moved around so much. I mean, my husband and I have been together 10 years and we've moved 8 times. So different cities, we've been able to see just like the pros and cons of everything and understanding and taking inventory of what we like, what we don't like. And so I think it's the first time in our life where, we're both able to be remote in all of our endeavors. And so we've been able to really actually look back and pick, okay, what are the most important pieces to us? What do we want to be around? Is it city? Is it apartment? Is it house? Type of people, right? All of those checklists, things that you look at. And so it's just been the first time where we've actually had the opportunity to choose and, trying to limit. I mean, we're still flying a bunch, but it's just so nice to be able to have a place to get off the plane, come back to that you're just so excited to be. And I feel like it's made us be a little bit more selective in terms of saying yes to things because we just truly enjoy like being in our home.
So nice. Well, everybody listening really knows you from your incredible swimming career. You're an 8-time world champion, 2-time Olympian. Now you're also a best-selling author, and you and your husband Todd started Synergy, and you have a lot of new passions. You're doing a lot of speaking. What do you think would surprise people about the person that you are at home?
That's a great question. I would say I like to stay busy still when I'm home, like not with work, but just, either it's going in our sauna or doing our cold plunge or, playing with our dog or, listening to music like that. I think we are not the type that just like to lounge all day and binge a show or something. We like always want to keep on the move. And so I think that's what I love most about our place is because we have this space, because we have this environment of our backyard, which is just like this sanctuary, this wellness retreat, as we call it, it allows us to do all these wonderful things that we truly enjoy and fill up our cup, but it's happening at home.
Yeah. And it sounds like you were really kind of always on the go. And when you were a little kid, before you started swimming, what was it about you that you think made you wired for, being capable of swimming at such an elite level, but also want to do it? Like once you found that passion, what gave you that drive?
I think it's a combination of environment and just how I came out into the world. And I don't know what the breakdown of percentages of that would be, but I just, definitely had this, once I was exposed to that feeling of putting your hand on the wall first and excelling, I just became absolutely obsessed with it. And so I think from there, it just clicked within me of, hey, I learned how to work hard. It's paying off. I feel so unique that I'm winning these races. And so I was really willing to do whatever it took from a, pain situation, physically, mentally, because it just kept paying off. And just the feeling that it gave me just became absolutely addicting.
Mm-hmm. Now you're really kind of translating what you learned as a swimmer to help other people achieve their goals. What do you find when you're working with other people? What moments come back to you the most that you're thinking, oh, I want to tell them about this story because I feel like this will help them achieve their goals? What are some of the times that you find are super relatable to other people? Because I think it is, your story is so extraordinary and it played out on the world stage. How do you feel like what you learned in swimming really translates to, somebody who's trying to run a marathon or achieve a goal at work or, different scenarios in everyday life?
Yeah, the thing that's interesting is it sounds like it's super different, but it's really not, right? Mm-hmm. Like everyone's feeling of extraordinary and big goal is completely different. And that's the best part about the world, right? Like everyone doesn't have to want to be an Olympian. Everyone doesn't have to run a marathon. But I think it's the feeling that you get from it. And I think in the times of struggle, early mornings, or just feeling like nothing's going your way or feeling like it's just, it's just not going to happen. I think keeping that feeling that you're going to get front of mind. That's the lessons that I learned from my swimming career that I try to pass on to everyone of, hey, like even Olympians, even CEOs, whatever, billionaires, like have these feelings of doubt, have these feelings of struggle, have these feelings of the alarm goes off and you do not want to get up. Yeah. You don't want to be in pain, but the difference is you're able to keep that thought and that goal front of mind so that you can kind of punch back those feelings of doubt and those feelings of just not wanting to go through the pain that day and pushing through it anyways. And so I think it's just the human component of making that normal, because I think as soon as I found out that, billionaires don't want to work out or, people that excel at a really high level go through all those feelings, it kind of makes it be like, okay, cool. So everyone goes through that. The difference is just how do you consistently fight back those feelings, because it's human to feel that way, and everyone does. So that's, I think, the piece I'm the most passionate about sharing is just making that normal.
Mm-hmm. And when you look back at your swimming career, do you feel like there are certain moments that really shaped the path that you're on now, that led you to this passion for helping other people achieve their goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think throughout my career, I had some really impactful mentors and coaches, and even out of the sport, some really impactful, people that have shaped my life and helped me to, move along the right path and pivot and all of those things. And so I think being able to now do that myself and be that person to provide strength and empowerment for others is a feeling of fulfillment that I didn't realize that I could also feel. Yeah. And so, I think recognizing those moments definitely led me to Synergy Dryland and becoming a mentor and a coach as well.
Yep. And in swimming, just hundredths of a second can make such a big difference. And those little moments can make such a big difference. And I think everybody can really relate to that, where, you look back at something and think, oh, I just wish I had done this a little bit differently. What is your advice to people who struggle with that when you think about training somebody, whether it's in their work life or in sport? What advice do you give to people who struggle with that kind of undoing moment?
That's a tough one. I mean, I think one, it's identifying it. I think a lot of times people get frustrated and don't even realize why they continue to be frustrated because they haven't identified, okay, this is bothering me. This is like a little, grenade in my brain that just keeps digging and just keeps eating at you. And I think identifying there's always a reason that something happened, right? There's always something it will come back full circle and you'll be like, okay, that's why that happened. This makes sense, right? Like I got a blood clot in the end of my career and now I'm able to advocate for others who, are losing their lives and, raising the right funds to provide education for people so that they don't have the same experience that I had. Mm-hmm. And so I think if you're able to see that and believe that, then it helps with that undoing feeling of like a shoulda, woulda, coulda thoughts, which it's going to happen. But I think the people that are able to look at it, face it, understand it, and then make a pivot to help things make sense, those are the people that can push past that. But I mean, you're doing it wrong if you don't have mistakes, if you don't have failures, like you haven't pushed the boundaries, right? So I think also knowing, kind of flipping the script and being like, okay, well, I messed up here. That's going to keep happening if I keep, taking a risk and going after something. And then you view that as not a positive, but you don't view that as some negative thing that you're feeling like you're going to regret in 10 years.
Yeah. Really good advice. When you think about helping people navigate pressure, I think we're all sort of under more pressure today than ever before, where it's like you just have Definitely. So much pressure to succeed in your daily life, even at home, and home and work are so intertwined, and everybody is just at this sort of tipping point, I think. And, you have been under immense pressure at so many moments in your life. And I can't even imagine that feeling of being a 15-year-old kid and walking out on the pool deck at the Olympics, and everybody is just putting that pressure on you of, oh, she's the female Michael Phelps, and you're swimming for Team USA, which is just the ultimate team to be a part of. You have faced some pressure that so many people can't even imagine, and yet it is relatable because we all have those moments of pressure in our lives, just like you were saying. What did you learn in that moment or other moments of pressure that you would want other people to know about dealing with those outside pressures?
One, knowing that anticipating that they're going to happen. I think sometimes those external pressures take you by surprise. Like they certainly took me by surprise. I didn't think that there was going to be as much buzz and as much conversation directed towards me at such a young age. So, I think if I had been more prepared and been like, okay, this is going to happen, brace for it, it would have helped more. So I think that piece, if you can, right, being like, hey, if this happens, what are people going to say? And not in a way of caring what people think, but just understanding, hey, this action opinions are going to form. People are going to have their take on it, and just kind of sitting with that and being okay with it. And then I think just, again, flipping the script of, if there's pressure happening, it probably means that you're doing something pretty special, right? It means that you're, going after some type of goal that matters to you, or you're stepping your toe out of the line and doing something outside the box, and feeling pride in that. Again, nerves are good. Feeling pressure, feeling anxious is not a bad thing. It's how you have adrenaline. It's how you go after things. So I think right now, because there's such an abundant amount of pressure being put on people, it's almost like this heightened awareness that maybe that isn't always a good thing. And I think it is a good thing. You just have to make sure. I always call it dark side nerves and good nerves. And so if you flip over to the dark side, yes, understand how to breathe through it, visualization, all of those skills. But I always feel like if you can flip the script and view it in a different light, it instantly unlocks the ability to fight it and conquer it, and continue to excel from there.
Yeah. I really like that idea of that good nerves, bad nerves thing too. I think it really is, it means it's important to you. And I think, for you, it was not only the external pressure, but also the internal pressure. You had worked so hard, and, whenever you're facing any problem where there's external pressure, it just heightens that sense of internal pressure. How do you cope with your own internal pressure? And how do you think your ability to do that has changed over time? Like when you look at your 15-year-old self versus yourself now, how do you think that's evolved?
Yeah, I've definitely always been really hard on myself. Like I was always so extremely nervous, like back in the day where I'd throw up before a race, and like I was just had those kind of not lighthearted feelings before anything that was big. So it's always been a constant battle. And I think for me, the way I've always tried to combat that is through process. Like I was never the type that, people are like, just be positive, or just, right? It's like, okay, well, you can't just say it and then it happens, right? Like for me, there needed to be a body of work, data that backed it up, my paces that I did in training, or, the amount of phone calls I've made to set up a deal, right? Like it carries over to all facets of life, but you have to keep track of that. You have to understand what's happening day to day. Like it has to be on purpose. It has to be full of intent. And so that was my way of standing behind the blocks and going, no. Like I had this body of work over the last 1 year, 4 years. I can be confident because I know that work is there. And so I think that's one of my greater strengths, is just being so dialed into those details that I had the book of work to call upon when I was feeling that self-talk turn negative, when I was feeling that way. And so I always tell people, like, the more that you can collect that data, no matter what you're doing, so that when you start to feel that doubt creep in, you can turn to something concrete and almost prove yourself wrong. Like if you're like, there's no way I can do this, no way I can handle this, you're like, no, there's this body of work. So very, very passionate about that piece.
Do you think that you've always been this process oriented? Is it something that you found over time with swimming, or was it something that you kind of you were just wired that way when you first started swimming, you were really focused on that process?
I think in the beginning, when I say beginning, like 7 years old, no. But I think it's something I developed very quickly when I realized, at the Olympics in 2004, I got so nervous. I couldn't stand it. It was definitely bled into the bad nerves. And so from there, it was like, okay, well, we need to figure this out. We need to figure out a way to battle back. And so that's when it started to develop, because I was like, okay, like I either need to not do this anymore and give up, or I need to figure out a solution of how to combat these feelings. And athletes, people feel that all the time. It's just figuring out what's your solution, what's your key to at least being able to drown out some of those thoughts, right? It's not realistic. They're always going to be there, but it's being able to punch back and win that argument with those negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm. So once you found that process, what's an example of something that you were looking at to, what were you tracking? What were you doing every day? What were your routines? How did you rely on that process early on?
Yeah, I mean, I was tracking like all my pace times in practice. So, I mean, we swim 8,000 meters at a time. Like I was tracking every single 50, every single pace, writing it down. So yeah, that's definitely, I would say I would say the largest example of doing that. But I mean, even now today, I do that in terms of like how many reach outs or how many emails I've sent. I mean, you could track anything, but it has to be key data that makes you feel good, right? If like getting up and making your bed doesn't give you that feeling of like, okay, like that's a body, that's something like that, don't track it. Like you have to identify those metrics that are going to fill your cup and give you the most amount of confidence.
Yeah, and I feel like after years of swimming, you are trying to adjust to a different lifestyle. How do you feel like that sense of process was still a part of you and helped you kind of find the right path? Or was it kind of haunting almost that you couldn't use the same processes anymore? Like, how did you navigate that moment?
Yeah, that was tough because I mean, obviously in swimming, it's so time-based. It was very easy to find that and to track that. And so I definitely went through a number of years of being like, okay, like how do I feel good about what I'm doing? How do I, track things? How do I feel like process oriented again? So I kind of had to go through a series of just different discovery, trying things out. And again, it's so personalized in terms of like what makes you excited, what gives you a sense of pride. And obviously coming from, trying to break world records, it was very difficult to feel a sense of pride. And so I had to really do some soul searching to figure that piece out. And I'm still figuring it out. I mean, it's still hard to kind of replace that feeling that you get of going after, Olympic gold medals. And so it's having to kind of, again, shift the mindset to, okay, like what is going to give you that feeling and how are you going to continue to fuel yourself day to day within that process? Because obviously those big wins only happen every so often.
What would your advice be to somebody who has a big goal but struggles with figuring out the right process for them or, being committed to the process? What advice would you share?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just breaking it down, if your goal is to, get a promotion in a year, then breaking down, okay, what does that entail? Meeting with your manager, breaking it down day to day, week by week, month by month. If you look at a big goal, it can be extremely overwhelming to just look at it and go, okay, I got to go accomplish that. It's more, and I did this with swimming, I do this now with other personal goals, like what can I do today? What can I do in the next week? And what does a win look like? Because if you don't have that and you don't have that path, each little win fuels the next and fuels your momentum. And so I think working with a mentor, working with people around you that know you well and kind of are in that safe space and develop that out. And if it's something that, I think a lot of times like big goals, you have to pivot a lot, and maybe that big goal needs to be tweaked. Like if you can't dial it in and you can't feel like you have a process laid out in front of you, meaning like you don't want to fully commit to all the little things, then maybe it's a shift in what that big goal looks like. I think that analysis is so important because we change, right? What makes us happy, our passions, they shift throughout the years. And so I think sometimes people don't really take the time because we're moving 100 miles per hour all the time to actually take that internal, kind of self-check of like, does this goal really mean a lot to me anymore or does it not, right? And there's no right or wrong answer there, but making sure you have a very clear vision of what that is so important.
And you mentioned mentors. Can you think of a mentor who really influenced the way that you want to live your life now? Like when you look around at the people who have influenced you, what have they taught you and who's somebody who really taught you a lot about, how you want to live moving forward?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. I feel like I've had different mentors in different stages of my life. And I think same thing, like you might have one mentor in your 20s and then you may outgrow that mentor, right? And you may need someone else. So I think having, again, that self-check of, okay, like, do we still have a great relationship? Are they still providing, really, really helpful advice and guidance and perspective? I know, after my swimming career, Jesse Itzler was incredible and just giving me I would say just the confidence to go out after it again and feel okay of my frustrations and why I was feeling a certain way post career. And so he's someone who obviously always goes after it and asks the why not, why couldn't you do that type of thing. And so I would say he's someone who I always look to as being really impactful in that way.
Absolutely. He is so inspiring. Can you think of a story or an example of a time where he just really got you and helped you on your path?
I think, when I first went to visit him in Connecticut, and we were going to exchange kind of business advice for a swim lesson because he was training for an Ultraman at the time. And nothing like in particular, I would say, but just like the conversation and just the vulnerability and just the way that he spoke about just things that I was sharing about my career and my struggles, I just felt seen. And so I think that's why I kind of mentioned, like, I don't necessarily try to share my own specific stories of here's what happened to me. I think it's just being there for people when they need to feel seen and acknowledged and heard. It makes such a difference in how that person feels and how they view themselves. And so providing that space for me to just feel seen and understood was extremely valuable.
Yeah. And then when you think about how you want to pass that on, what do you think about when you look at, the people that you're mentoring? How do you want to help them feel seen?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just providing that space, right? So if I'm at a meet and they're nervous, just being there and patting them on the back and again, just being that person where they feel comfortable to say anything it is really my goal. And I think a lot of times that's just building trust and providing them with the understanding that they obviously already know I've been there. So it's just kind of an unspoken thing where if I'm needed, I'm there. If they want to vent, I'm there. But, I think, unsolicited advice happens a lot in this world. And so I'm very cognizant of just kind of being that safe space for people.
Yeah. Do you feel like you had that when you were swimming, or do you feel like you got a lot of unsolicited advice instead? Like, how do you feel like when you were swimming, you got what you needed, or maybe you didn't get what you needed?
I mean, I think it was a combination, right? There's definitely, a couple of different coaches I can think of that were that for me, just listened. And, if I asked them, they'd provide their insight and their perspective. But, there's always going to be, and everyone has an opinion. There's a lot of armchair critics out there. So you kind of have to pick your trust tree, right? Your people that are going to be in your corner and your people that are going to be, there that truly have your best interests. So, I definitely had people that were helpful. I mean, my mom was amazing at that. Such a skill set, just being, a listening ear and providing help when needed. And so I think that's, again, why I'm so cognizant of that, of wanting to be able to be that person for people.
Yeah. I love what you just said about your trust tree and how, you would have to tune out a lot of people who have negative opinions, and especially people who are trying to achieve a goal now. So much plays out on social media, or, everybody's a critic now. And it has to be hard to tune out that noise. How did you cope with that? And how do you mentor people to tune out that sort of negative noise, especially from people who aren't part of that trusted circle of mentors?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I actually feel fortunate because, when I was competing, at the height, 2008, like Facebook was the main thing, and like you can only have 5,000 friends. So I can't imagine these kids with Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok. Like everyone is an expert. Everyone has an opinion. Yeah. I think it's just, again, like keeping your circle small to trusted people and trying to drown that piece out of social that's always going to be there, but trying to turn to social, which is what I turn to social for, is just keeping up with friends and posting positive things and trying to fill the world with, a funny video or here and there. but it's unavoidable. It's going to be in your face. So I think just having a very strong foundation that can't be shaken with the people around you that love you and really have your best interests at heart.
Mm-hmm. And looking back, is there a moment or a decision in your life that you feel like was really key to your happiness today?
Oh, geez. I would say I don't know if there's just one, but I think the biggest thing for me is being able to just keep moving. We've moved so many times because it's we moved to Chicago from Miami when I retired, and tried living there, and then we moved to New York, which I'm so happy we did. We met amazing people, and so I think I could never pinpoint it down to one, but I think the ability to just keep moving and keep letting in new experiences, new people, new perspectives has helped get to this point where we feel like we're in a really happy, positive spot. And we could have never done that had we not moved around and met new people and really increased our skills as people.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward, what does a life well lived look like to you? What are you striving for now?
Yeah, I think continuing to build our business together, Synergy Dryland. Mm-hmm. I think, continuing to build our network here in Nashville. We already have a wonderful group of friends that, all think very similarly in terms of going after our goals and supporting each other. And that's been really, really neat to experience. Obviously, growing a family in the next couple of years, and just, having the environment, the means to continue to put out, positive energy and helping people and just enjoying life, together as a family.
Mm-hmm. I think there is so much positivity, on your social media, and you and your husband are both very encouraging and positive. Why is that so important to you? And right now, sort of in the world that we live in right now, why do we need a little bit more of that positivity, do you feel?
Yeah, I think other than the obvious, just it's contagious. And so I think, it's interesting. If you see someone who's not smiling, you see someone having a rough day, just by complimenting them or saying hi or smiling, makes such a big shift. And so I talk about the little wins, the little things. It's the same way when it comes to putting out positive energy and positive words is just be positive, and it's contagious and it's passed on to the next person. And so I think the more that, you can do your part, you're one person out of 7 billion people, but that adds up, and that, becomes, a momentous kind of energy that happens all over. And so if you feel like you can finish each day and you did one thing just that to help, someone else and provide that energy, then you've done your job kind of in the world with that piece of things.
Absolutely. Well, Katie, thank you so much. I want to get into our lightning round of fun questions. So to start out, what's one thing you remember loving about your childhood bedroom?
I remember getting to design it, and I got all clouds. I think it was Bed Bath & Beyond, so it was a cloud bedspread, trash can, pillowcase, curtains. It was ridiculous, but I just remember loving that so much. I just was obsessed. I saw it and I was I want the whole thing, the whole matching set. Yeah, I was 9 or something.
That's so fun. What's one of your prized possessions today?
Prized possessions, man. I wish I could say, my dog isn't is a possession, wow. But if I could say my French bulldog, I would. I would say, I love our bed, right? Mm-hmm. It's really cool. It adjusts to you. So, you spend 8 hours a day, how many hours a year in your bed? And so I love our bed.
Love it. Love it. What's one thing that surprised you when you moved to Nashville?
Just the people. I knew that, Southern charm, hospitality was a real thing, but I just feel the amount of people that are just so open and, wanting to meet new people. I think a lot of times you move somewhere and everyone kind of has their cliques and their groups, and I just feel everyone's kind of a transplant. And so it's really cool to see just how many people just wanted to meet new people and share their experiences.
That is really nice when you're trying to build community and everybody's kind of open to that. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Definitely.
What's one thing in your home that makes your life easier?
One thing in my home that makes my life easier. I would say we order these meals, these pre-made meals that get delivered every week, and like just not having to take the time to cook. Neither of us enjoy it. Makes life
so nice. Love that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite space in your home?
Probably our backyard. There's like hot tub, sauna, cold plunge, just a way to unwind or get ready for the day. And it's the best.
Amazing. Yeah, if anybody's not following on Katie on Instagram, I feel like you need to. It looks amazing. That is so cool. You have it all decked out. It's like perfect for your lifestyle. It's so cool to see.
Yes.
That's
awesome. It's the best.
What's your household pet peeve?
Dirty dishes before bed. Like, I do not want to wake up to dirty dishes, and my husband is the opposite. So it's always a struggle. But yes, I want to wake up in the morning and have everything be clean in the kitchen.
Yeah. And we covered this a little bit earlier with mentors, but who's somebody you admire who you think really lives well?
I feel like I knew Shawn Johnson and her husband, Andrew, from competing in 2008, but they live here too. And so they're like super dialed in. They've lived here 12 years. And I just feel like they have such a good pulse on the city, a really cool setup, with their house. And so I feel like I really like what they have going on in terms of the way that they live.
Amazing. And what inspires you to live better?
Just overall, just happiness and peace.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's such a nice answer. What gives you peace?
Peace, I think just feeling like every bucket is in a really good spot. I think just feeling like proud. And I use the word content because I'm like the opposite. Like I'm always wanting more. And so like sometimes people are like, you should never be content. Like, cause you have to I need to feel content. Yes. But like I already have that plugged in. So I just need more of like the content in my cup. So yeah, I just feeling like my mind can be at rest every once in a while and feeling like, okay, no, like it's good. It's good right now. Like you can still keep striving, but like look at what you've accomplished and feel like at peace with it.
Well, Katie, thank you so much. This has been such a nice conversation and I really appreciate you having us into your home.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Katie Hoff for welcoming us today. Follow along with Katie on Instagram at KTHoff7 and check out her book, Blueprint, an Olympian story of striving, adapting, and embracing the suck. I'm Kristen Twyford, and if you enjoyed our conversation, I hope you'll subscribe to Make Yourself at Home and leave us a review. Make Yourself at Home is presented by Nines, household management software that helps you manage your properties and everything that comes with them, so you can make the most of your time at home. Learn more at ninesliving.com.